from Department of English. Now we are going to see about a topic, a poem on romantic period. The author of the poem is John Keats. He is one of the famous romantic poet. According to him, we are see about what is romanticism, because the authors belong to romantic period. So what is romanticism? The romanticism is a literary movement that begins in England at the early stage of 18th century. English romanticism begins in 1798 when the lyrical ballads of Coleridge and Wordsworth begins. Let us see, English romanticism is revolt of the imagination that against the neoclassicist. Now we are going to see about the main reason for the English romanticism. The French Revolution that starts begin in 1789 to 1794 and English Industrial Revolution are the two main reasons for the rise of romanticism in English period. What are the main natures of English romanticism? The first thing is the usage of creative imagination. In English romantic period, the imagination is the main thing and it's a creativity one. The next one is the poets or writers are focused on the nature. Next one is the importance of myth and symbolism are the another important thing in romantic period. Another one is the focus on feelings and intuition is the main thing. Then the most important thing for the writer is the freedom to write and the spontaneity on his writings is the main important aspects in the romantic period. Then the romantic poets use simple languages. Then they also write about their personal experience, democracy and liberty. These all things are in a romantic period. This is known as the romanticism. Now we are going to see about who are all the important poets or important authors during a romantic periods. They are the most important poets are Wordsworth, Coleridge, then Byron, then Shelley and Keats. Then Wordsworth is known for its beauty in simplicity and Coleridge is known for its beauty in extraordinary and supernatural things. Because Coleridge poems are full of supernatural things. For example, The Ring of Ancient Mariner. The next one is Byron. His poems are full of satire, philosophical, and his poems is mix of picture descriptionation. The next one is Shelley and Keats. These two poets are known as the second generation of romantic era. Shelley is known for his acoustic beauty and Keats is known for his sensuous beauty. Next. Now we are going to see about the John Keats. He is the author of our today's poem, To Autumn. Who is John Keats? John Keats was born in the year 1795 in London. John Keats was an English poet. He was one of the main key poet in the English romantic movement. Then John Keats is the son of livery stable keeper. He is the eldest of 5. His father died at age of 9 and his mother died at age of 70 because of tuberculosis. He is worked as a surgeon as an apprentice and he is licensed as an apothecary. Then in 1817, he gave up all his medicinal field and joined as a full-time poetry. His close friend, Leigh Hunt, he is an editor of the great, one of the magazine, The Examiner, who published Keats' poem in his magazines. In a brief creative career, he died at the age of 25 because of the same tuberculosis. He lost his mother, brother and his father. Next, his first volume of poem is published in 1817 and his most allegorical narrative poem, Endymion, is published in 1880. Then, Keats is famous for his 6 odes. What are the main 6 odes? Can we see? The first thing is Ode to the Nightingale, Ode on a Grecian Urn, Ode to the Autumn, Ode to the Psyche, Ode to the Melancholy. In 1890 is the year considered as Keats' great year. Now we can see what are the features of Keats' poetry. The first one is emphasis on the creation of beauty by muscularity and images. Second one is palpable images. In his poetry, he points out, he portrayed a lot of images to describe about the nature. Second one, he is a sensuous poet. Third one is his poetry is full of melancholy that describes the sets of the peoples or nature in his poem. The most important or most quoted lines of Keats are, "A thing of beauty is joy forever. Its loveliness increases, it will never, passes into nothingness. A beauty is truth and truth is beauty." These are the most of the ever living lines of Keats. Next, we talks about the historical context of this poem to autumn. What is the historical context? In 1819, To Autumn was written. When it was written means it was written during it was written by Keats by one of his good harvest period. England had experienced a great suffering during a Napoleonic War in 1803 and 1850. After this Napoleonic War, after the great sufferings of England, they seen a lot of harvesting in their era. The bountiful harvest was seen as a blessing at that time. So, once Keats was walking towards the field, he saw a lot of harvesting and a lot of yields in the field. So, at that time, he received to write a poem to autumn. The external cycle of season is referenced in the poem as he hints at the blooming transition to the winter. In the poem Autumn, he describes about the whole seasons and what are the things that happen in the season and what's the next to autumn. They describes as the death, the imagery of the death. The death means the autumn is end, the next season, the winter is born. This is the historical context of the poem. Now we are going to see about the poem Autumn. To Autumn is a poem by English romantic poet John Keats. The work was composed on 19 September 1819 and published in 1820 in the volume of Keats' poetry. In that volume, there are also famous poem included The Lamia and Eve of St. Agnes. To Autumn is the final work in a group of Keats' odes. The autumn consists of 3 stanzas. The first stanza describes about the harvest and post-harvest and noon and evening of an autumn season. The second stanza describes about the vegetables world, the human activity and also the world of animals, birds and insects during the autumn season. The third stanza describes about the progression or movement or transition that happens during the seasons. That means that is in autumn seasons and also explains that the death of the season. That means the autumn is going to end and some winter is going to rise. The next season again the autumn will rise. That means the death is inevitable. That is he described in his poem Autumn. Now, what's the season in the first stanza? Let me see stanza by stanza. In first stanza, it consists of 11 lines. Autumn is established as the time of abundance when fruit and vegetable grows so ripe that they are ready to burst. Keats highlights that even the beehives are now overflowing with the honey. This is the first stanza that explains about the partnership between the season and the sun. Who is the sun? Let me see line by line. Seasons of mist and mellow fruitlessness, close bosom friend of maturing sun. Who is bosom friend? That is a close friend. Here, Keats compared sun as a close friend to an autumn. So, the companionship or the contraction between the sun and the season makes the fruit be ripe one and make them ripe ones. The conspiring with him how to load and bless. The conspiring means working together with the fruit, the vines that round the thatched eve rise. Thatch means that is the roof of there's a thatched roof with the hands over the walls. So here he explained the sun and the season were conspiring with each other and gives the fruit to be a ripe one. To bend with apples, the most cottage trees. Now the apples are grown fast and it's bent with the ripened apple and it's chosen as the most cottage trees. Next, and fill all fruits with the ripeness to the core, to swell the gourd and plumb the hazels. All the gourds, what's the meaning of gourd? A type of fruit that is like a pumpkin or squash. Now the gourd or is swelling. That means it's all full of ripening time, ripening period. And plumb the hazel shells. The hazel shells are look like a plum. And with the sweet kernel to set budding more. See the sweet kernel. Kernel means a bit of the nut you can eat. The nut becomes so sweet, it's budding to ready to for harvesting. Then and until they think warm days, they will never cease, for summer has overbrimmed their clumsy cells. From this, the bees are ready to stay back with their flowers that is ready to blooming in this autumn season. So the bees form a hives for themselves. So this first stanza describes about the ripeness and the prosperity of the season of autumn. What is the prosperity? All the fruits, all the vegetables, for example, bees are ready to give their productivity to the people. Now the second stanza explains about the activity of the humans during the autumn season. Now we have conclude the whole the things are what we can see in the first stanza is describes about the prosperity of the autumn season by the ripening of the fruits and animal fruits and the formation of beehive cells. The second stanza describes about the activity that they are describes as the harvester and the adapter are explained in the second stanza. The third stanza describes the transmission of the end of the season autumn. Thus, the poet write his poem to autumn is full of the nature with his imagination and with his sensuous mood. Thank you.